Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript Party, my buddy Rhett, and we are, I guess, I just remembered we had such a big win last week. I mean, it was just like this massive win, and that's that a new property appeared and the UI surfaced it for us immediately. Now, I think the thing was that the other thing was that it was very easy to test to see if this new property showed up in Edge, and it did. So it had not been showing up, and then suddenly it showed up. Maybe it had been showing up, and I just didn't notice it, but I'm pretty sure I hadn't. Um, but one thing I did notice is that we tend to end up in discrete. I think that's because maybe that's where I was. I don't know why, but I tend to end up in discrete. So it would be possible that I never even looked over at API. So I needed some sort of indicator in the tab that tells me that the API is there. But um, I think I did kind of come up with pose a question and not make an observation that I'm not 100% sure on, but I think is true. And that's that I had at one point thought that I could sort of insulate myself from API changes by like using Electron and locking in the version of the browser. But we did go over to Edge, and that one also, this surfaced in that as well. And I'm pretty sure that Edge uses Chromium, but it uses an older version of Chromium. So let's just double check that. I think it's important. Things are always changing. It's important to stay up to date with everything. Um, so, first question: does Edge use Chromium? Or actually, do Edge and Chrome use Chromium? So my understanding, what I thought I'd read, um, um, was that there's an open source thing called Chromium that I think Google pretty much drives, and Chromium is what they use as the source for Google uses as their source for their uh, Chrome browser, and then Microsoft uses Chromium as a source for their Edge browser. So my thought would have been that it would this a new property would show up in Chrome before it showed up in Edge, because my understanding was that Edge is like 6 months behind or something like that. And so that's my base understanding. Now that did not happen. I think I noticed it for the first time last week. I did notice it for the first time last week, and I think I noticed it when it first came out, within a week of when it first came out. So, and it was in both. So, first first assumption, is that assumption correct? Yes, both. Chromium open source web project. Chromium provides core engine Blink for rendering V8. Google Chrome adds Google services. Microsoft Edge adds Microsoft services, features like tighter window integration, and so so now I think I heard that Chrome Chrome is is 6 months. Chrome uses a browser, a Chromium version that is 6 months older. Yeah, no, newer than Edge. What a interesting, um, what an interesting time concept. Between Chrome updates adopted, but it isn't always strictly a 6 months. Okay, so there is a gap. Okay, so okay, okay, so I thought, oh, it isn't accurate. It's in reality, Edge usually, okay, 1 to 2 version, 1 to 2 months. Okay, so so I noticed a new property in the voice API called this thing called process locally. Process locally. And I was surprised that it was in both Edge and Chrome, because I thought Edge was behind. So and this is the kind of thing that like you would be in an interview, or you might be talking to other technical people, and when you try to when they get deep into sort of this concept and understanding and their understandings, like challenging their deep understandings can be emotionally jarring for other human beings. So you have to be very careful when you if you do find out that they're wrong. A lot of people just don't like that feeling. It's just all baked into all kinds of other emotions and stuff that probably are not helping them the at the stage of their lives that they're in. But yeah, that's a whole different subject. But the Chromium relationship works between Chrome and Edge. Here's what's going on. Shared Chromium core. Both Edge and Chrome pull from the same Chromium base, which includes... Oh, snap. Okay. When Chromium adds experiments with new properties, it becomes available in both Chrome and Edge and other browsers like Brave, Opera, Vivaldi, unless the vendor specifically adds or experiments with a new property. I don't know. What the fuck? What is that even? That is so crazy. So, like, okay, version lag versus feature absence. Even though Edge often lags 1 to 2 versions, experimental features often land behind feature flags or its origin trials. That means as soon as the Chromium based code has the property, all Chromium browsers have it in their builds, but it may not enable it by default, or might be controlled with the flag. Okay, so what that likely means, so this is probably the most important thing if you just really want to understand what's going on. The process local property has already been merged into Chromium's API, public API. So both Chrome and Edge expose it regardless of the slight version cap. Whether it's actually works yet is another matter. Often APIs like this appear in dev tools or type definitions before the function is fully wired up. Share Chromium API implementation, even though I guess okay. So this is confusing. So some things become available due to version, and some things become available immediately. So having an old version does not protect from new features. Is that correct? This is very confusing. I don't understand this. It is because the new feature available in browsers doesn't map one-to-one with version numbers. Here's a clearer breakdown. Version-driven change. Some things only arrive when you move up to a specific Chrome version. Rendering engine updates, JavaScript engines, major API additions or deprecations. Example, if a new CSS property ships in Chrome 127, you won't see it until Edge and Chrome are up to 127. Immediately exposed but not always usable. Other things appear as soon as the code lands in Chromium, even if the feature is. This happens because the vendor often exposes API early. So, oh, Chrome both inherit the new API surface once Chromium merges it. Older Edge doesn't necessarily protect you from seeing new APIs. So something has changed. So code doesn't. So applications don't work like I thought they worked. So it used to be that a new version would roll out, and then we'd see what percentage of the users have the new version. So we could determine if it was going to impact us. But now it seems like that is not the case. So this was one of my main reasons for advocating for Electron. Yeah, you spotted one of the big shifts on how browsers and by extensions Chrome even behave today. The old way what we are describing browsers used to be version gated. New APIs did not exist until you got the new version. You could check what percentage used version X and know exactly whether a feature was safe to use. That gave developers clear, predictable option curves. The new way, Chromium merges new APIs as soon as the code lands. Browsers expose the shape of the API property methods immediately, even if the feature. See, this is where this part is where I'm getting screwed up. Chromium merges the new API as soon as so what? I don't understand how Chromium merging the new API as soon as the code lands is tied to my instance of the browser. And I think that's where the API is coming from someplace different. So visibility, see why browsers do it helps standard developers see what's upcoming. It can be experiment. Keep Chromium. Okay. Version. So this is the part that you have to really understand if you are going to be talking to somebody. What this means, version percentages are no longer the whole story. You can't rely only on Chrome and adoption to know if a feature is usable. You need capability. Okay, that's not helpful. Electron is more predictable. When you bundle Electron, you lock in a specific Chromium version, which means you control exactly which exists and no surprises. So there's a disconnect between the API and the browser version. I think it's what it's trying to say. It's what it's trying to say. Okay. I think what we're saying means that there is a disconnect between browser versions and APIs. Yes, that's it exactly. There's now a disconnect between browser versions and APIs. Old mental model, browser version number equals feature set. If Chrome 120 supported API X, then it would only users on one Chrome 120 had it. Easy to map adoption stats, featureability. New reality. API surface is decoupled from version numbers. When Chromium merges something, the property may appear in Chromium browsers even if the feature isn't enabled. You can no longer say Chrome 124 added this API and assume it's absent in the earlier. Sometimes it shows up before, sometimes later, sometimes stubbed. Okay, so I once place and Chrome was, and the next version Chrome was only going to auto start videos of a certain size. It's certain for um, after um, the newest Chrome version was updated on the end user's machine. Seems like that is no longer the case. It could retro that new behavior could be added to older versions of Chrome. This is so important, guys. I mean, it's just like uh, you're right on the model you experienced before. Chrome version, new behavior only after the end user has blurred. Now let's unpack what changed. Old Chrome behavior before 2017. Okay, so it's good to know 2017. The new feature or behavior changes were strictly tied to Chrome version numbers. So example, Chrome 64 introduced autoplay restrictions. Users only saw the change once they updated to v64. Developers could say, okay, we need to change Chrome adoption rates once 80% of v64, or most users will see the new autoplay policy. Very deterministic. New Chrome behavior. Now Chrome and other browsers use feature flag systems inside the browser. Chromium ships with a lot of runtime flags baked in. Think of them as switches in the code. Some features landed, code existing property shows up, but the flag determines whether it's active. Google or Chrome for Edge can flip those flags remotely. See, that is the piece. Through what they call field trials or Finch experiments. That means a new behavior can be rolled out on a subset of users on the same Chrome version. Oh my goodness. Those MFers. Oh my gosh. Or even backported into older versions without waiting for everyone to update. Practical example. When autoplay policy was being introduced, the code for the policy existed in Chrome before it was officially shipped. The code, Google flipped the flag for certain cohorts, tested impacts, and then later rolled it out broadly. See, this is the very definition of um, um, like what's it called? Where people like are like your experience, like you're being told something and then you find out that it isn't true. Like I want to say red pilling, but it's like gaslighting. Like this this is why everything's so effed up. Two users in the same Chrome version could see different autoplay behaviors. What this means today, version numbers, behaviors, browsers introduce asynchronously. Yeah, this is awful. Um, man, so no wonder everyone feels so gaslit. Um, see what it says. Yeah, you put a finger on something that a lot of developers and even end users sense but don't quite have the words for. Why it feels like gaslighting. In the old model, the cause and effect were clear. I updated. Now autoplay changed. New models, things just start changing around you. You didn't update. Behavior is different. Two coworkers on the same version of Chrome see different results. Develop documentation says ship at VX, but you're seeing X1. That this disconnect makes you feel like you're misremembering or misunderstanding reality, which is the exact sensation of being gaslit, even though it's not intentional. I would not go this far. I think that's very kind of them. Why browsers do this? They want experimental A/B. Yeah, so they want to experiment at scale, but they actually don't care about the users. They want to early developer exposure to APIs without waiting. They want to reduce big bang rollouts. The downside, it erodes trust in version numbers and release numbers for users. Browser feels unpredictable, like it updated itself. For orgs, it makes it hard to impact analysis. Um, so I think so. I think that you might be overly optimistic about big tech's intentions. I suspect that they purposely confuse people to take advantage of people when they are vulnerable. Well, honestly, a lot of people share it even if it's not stated so bluntly. The thing is most people don't understand this. Um, Realistic, skeptical lens, large platform also benefit from user confusion, subtle, independent behaviors, making it harder for users and smaller developers to fully understand what's happening. People feel less empowered. Um, yeah. So it's reasonable to see this is not purely innocent expectation. There are strategic advantages to keeping users off balance. Yeah, I'm starting to be more and more like nervous about using um, the standard browsers because of things like this. But anyways, I guess it's time to get be a little bit more productive than this. All right, so basically, if anything is different for me on here, I would like to have an exclamation mark, like a red exclamation mark up there. And so we did figure out where that was happening, and that was happening on the, I'm guessing, what do we have here? We have no changes? Okay, we have 3 changes. No, okay, so I guess I committed that with the question mark there. So I'm guessing it's up here. Yeah, API. So we need to basically be able to listen. We need this guy to be able to publish that something happened, and for this guy up here to be able to listen for that publish. And that publish would be that it found a one of these. But I believe the service may know about it. So let's do that. Let's look in the service. So that's our VA navigation service. Let's go into, it's in our API. I'm assuming it's listening to some kind of service to determine. Oh, maybe not. Okay, so API speech service Okay, speech service found properties. So the speech service does know if we have a found property. Okay, and inside that speech service, it looks like we set it up with an expected and not found. So let's go to our speech service. So basically, I think in our service, we just need like we could create like a signal and listen to it. I believe we're using signals in this already, or we could like have, uh, well, we have our found property string, we have our expected property string. So I guess if found properties and expected properties are not the same, so that's not going to be good enough though, because it's possibly that like we could have one that we expected and one that we found. Um, like one that's expected not be there, but one that we aren't expecting being there. So here's where we set up a dictionary of expected properties. And then we come in and so if this happens, if it's not, so if this happens, this is one situation, right? We got something that was not expected. So, okay, so it looks like we go through, we have a list of expected properties. And then we have our expected and not found. And we set them all to expected and not found. And then if we find it and it was set to expected and not found, then we fix it. But if we don't find it, then we mark it as not accepted. So this is the easy one. Um, so inform inform mark. Okay, so basically, I guess at the end, what we need to do is go through each property and see if we find anything that is not expected and found. That would be the way to do it. Um, well, that's found properties, object keys, oh, API properties, expected properties. Okay, what is this, I wonder? So let's go back in. So basically, the situation is we need to find the all of the properties, whatever this thing is going over. We need to go through it and see if there's anything that is either that isn't expected and not found, and if so, we probably need to set something somewhere. And it looks like it's API properties, but let's go into our um, um, discrete inside of our API. So what are we iterating over? Okay, so we're iterating over API properties. So let's just do this. Let's go back to the service and right here, because it looks like we want to go over API properties one last time and find out if there's anything that we weren't expecting. Console.log this.api properties, and look in here. And the good news is I think that happens, that this service is it, I thought we were in a service. Let me hit back. Oh yeah. No, we're still, oh, we're in our API component. Okay, that's kind of a bummer. Man, this is such a good reason to. So in this constructor, we go through all of these, and then we go through this. So we, I guess the problem is okay. This constructor I don't think is going to run unless we're on this page. So that's kind of a bummer. So we're probably gonna have to move all of this um, code. So I'm going to see if we get that. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes you get that. Okay, so that happened. So I'm going to clear this. I'm going to hit reload and see if that happens. Oh, so that happened. And so basically we want to go over this and find find anything that is not expected and found. Because which one is it? It is called, let's go back to our API and see it ran again, which is fine. And the one we care about is called process locally. I think these are in order. So see, this one's not expected. So we want to loop over all of these. And if we find one, I guess we want to probably do a output of this thing. So right now all these guys just run on their own. So we probably just want to emit a change to the parent. Would that work? I don't know if that'll work. Let's look over here. These tabs are a little bit different. Yeah, so we could tie a function to an emitter. So we can emit the value here, and then this thing could update based on that. Probably a better way to do it would have been to inside the service have it do this logic, and I think I remember sort of going back and forth on whether I wanted to do that. It would have been a little easier if I'd have done it in the service, because then I could just set a property and then show it there. But I want to emit a, and I think, yeah, I probably want to use a signal, or I don't even know if we can do that. I don't even know what version of Angular we're on. Okay, we're on version Angular 19, so I'm using Angular 19. Nineteen to emit value from a component. See, yeah, we just want to do an output. Basically this. We want to do this output like that. So we'll just go here, open here, right there. So output is what is called known as a decorator, and it comes from the core. So we need to add that here, and it's one telltale sign that it might be a decorator is that it is a uppercase. But see, I think in this case, event emitter is a EFG. I believe that is an object emitter, but we'll mouse over and just double check that. Oh, it's an interface emitter. So basically it's emitting an object that's kind of like that. And so basically what you want to do then, instead of value emit it, we'll say something, found something, found change found. And then so basically over here, we want to add some code that basically goes over each one of these. And API properties, is that what is that? It looked like an array to me. Okay, let's just do that. log. I think you can check to see if something is array by this. You go array dot is array and give it the, and this will tell you if it's an array or not. Console log. Yeah, so it is an array. So we can just do like a for each on that. So this dot API property dot for each. Yeah, I'm kind of shook, I have to admit, because it just really, like, I just can't stand the idea that like the browser works inconsistently, even if you have the exact same computer, the exact same browser, the exact same version, everything. If everything was identical, the browser can still work differently. I don't like that. I don't know if, like, my first instinct was like, that's kind of cool. And then my second instinct, like, that's crazy. I can't believe that they would do that. Then my third instinct was like, oh man, if somebody really wants to mess with you, they can. They could, like, as a developer, like, if your browser is working different than your boss's browser, you could be like, no, this works perfectly on my machine. And then their boss would be like, this isn't working at all on my machine. And then if you're like, well, the thing is it just depends on what flags they turned on which API properties and all that, you can seem like you're just the weirdest person in the world, you know, like, and then, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think. It's a brave new world. It's a brave new world, my friends. Okay. So let's look over here. So this is where we went over each one. And so basically, we just want to see what the type is. That's all we care about. So I'm just going to make that the type. And then so there's our expected, and there's our one not expected. So we got 31 expected and one not expected. So we could, like, there's a couple ways we could do this. Like, we create a little flag, like a let found change equals false. And then we'll just say found change is equal if and type is not equal. And I believe we have this strongly typed, so we can to expected and found. If it's not that, then we want to set the key. And this is how I would do this. We could also omit from there, but I think multiple omits, there's just no telling what kind of weird bugs we might end up with. We could definitely get that expected and not found issue pretty easily. Bound change is equal to true. And then if found change, basically if found change. Hello. And you could just have a one-liner there. I tend to not like to have a one-liner. I tend to like to put it in brackets. But this dot change found true. Maybe not. Oh, it's emit dot emit. And then what did I do up here? I said it was going to be a string. This is going to be a Boolean. And I think I'm going to... So this is a little bit scary because it's possible that you'll get that issue. It may not be happy with that. But I don't know. So you might end up with that issue where it changes. It couldn't draw it the way it wanted because it changed before it had a chance to draw it. But I shouldn't, because the child should get generated before, long after the this thing this thing has been drawn. So anyways, let's just see if we have anything weird in our console. I always get a little nervous with the console on these sorts of changes. All right, so that's good. All right. And delete and delete. I do think those are the sorts of kinds of things that will may be bring down like Chrome and Edge as tools that people want to use. You know, if it acts differently, especially because it's not like I wonder like for like DLA for example, Defense Logistic Agency, or CIA and all those guys, if they have the ability to control the flags in their one, if they have the ability to control the flags in their domain, because you know like I'm sure they don't want Microsoft and Google to be able to just like make the browsers do whatever they feel like doing, you know, just turn on a flag and now I can do something that is absolutely outlawed otherwise. But um, and then I wonder if they give them the option of changing the way other people's browsers work. You know, like if they can say, oh, okay, make it to where this person can't see this, but that person can see that. These browsers. I don't know what they're thinking. All right, so we turned off all that stuff. Let's go ahead and tie that to a function in our app API. So I believe what we do is we do this equals that, and then I think it'll help us change found. Found. I don't know if change found gets called. I guess I can add a. And then over here, I love you too. Now that may or may not happen for you, depending on what version of Angular you're using. Boolean. Void. So the big question I have is this going to run twice or once? Like, is it going to give me a false to begin with or something? Okay, so it says found not exist. Found does not exist on type app component. So it's upset about this. You ready? Now what's it complain about? Method. Oh, because this is expecting the Boolean. I can't remember. I think we're supposed to put something specific. Did they tell us how to do that? Emit value and then received. Value colon string. See, that's weird because I have value colon Boolean. That worked. Nope, we're still. Did I save? Oop. Okay. Boom. Inspect. In console. Okay, so it never did run it, which is weird. Do I have everything saved everywhere? Yeah, let's just do this. Close all. Close others. Okay, so it didn't complain. So what I was expecting was this change found Yeah, you're supposed to. I'm going to try this. Value. And say value colon any. And it says value does not exist on type app component. I'm so confused by what in the world it's complaining about. Oh, it's supposed to be dollar. It's been a while. Dollar something, I think. Ooh. Oh, dollar event. Forgot about that. Now we know this is a Boolean. Oops, wrong one. Boolean. And let's do this. Inspect. See if we ever got it. That's weird. Okay, so maybe there's a problem in my logic over here. Inspect. So it did find it, and then this change found emit is true. And then over here, can I do this? I wonder if you can do this. I don't know if you can do this. Alert. No. Or maybe, yeah. And then I don't understand. So, because it gets upset. Like if it's definitely wired up, right? Because, and there was no change found function already. Value. And it's emitting, but it's not doing it right. Is it supposed to be? Maybe it's supposed to be. No, it's definitely supposed to be. It's supposed to be parentheses. Okay, let me see if there's anything wrong with this. Does this look right? Okay. And then let's try this. How about this? So parent component. And how about this? Oh, so maybe I needed to make that false to begin with. Let's see. And then this. I'm just saying if I made some kind of weird syntactical error. Okay, so I want this. Let's see now if we got something working. Yes. Okay. So now we got our true. And so basically we're just saying we got our true back. So now we're going to say, and here's where I worry about like getting a weird console log error and having to deal with that. So found, let's see, found change in API equals false. And then if we take this and we go to here and we just do this and we put this in our brackets, did I not save? It did not save again. And so we get our false there. Inspect. Our console is happy. Now, here's where things could go sideways. Reload. That's weird. This found in API did not, it feels like it didn't actually ever reload. Okay, that's strange. That's true. Man, I'm having the craziest issues right now. See, like, I feel like, you know, if today you're following along with me, this may or may not work for you because, like, there's no telling what your what your browser is going to do. You may or may not see that change down there. I mean, there's no source of the truth anymore. All right, so all I got was the true, which is weird. Oh, I never got the changed found. I never saw changed. What is true coming from? That's coming from line 92. API component here. Oh man. So it never did work. It was never working. I was looking at the wrong component. I thought it started working after I had changed this from being a default. All right, so output new eventer, change follow. Okay, so the last piece of the puzzle is this. See if there's something wrong with this. Change found. Maybe it's like the name. Change found in tab. Okay, we know it. Notice that. Change found in tab. That. Inspect. Console. this. Oh no, this. Okay, I have this in my markup. Okay. And then I have this in my component. I have this in my component. I guess I didn't say which. Okay, you're being a weirdo. Hate it when that happens. Hit reload. Okay. Retry. Oh. So it's not getting called. So it's not being called child component is calling the init. The parent method is firing. The problem is usually one of common issues. Let's go through them. Template is correct. Yep, I think that looks right. Let's go back and look at our template. Change found in tab, $event. Yep, I think that looks good. Child actually emits it. We do know that it is emitting. That's how we were getting that true that gave me that false positive. This change found emit. Let's just double, triple check that. Yep, we are in the debugger. We are calling this dot change found. It has an emit function, and we are executing it with the value true. Now, do I have it as true or do I have it as found? Okay, let's do that. Found change. I mean, that's the same thing, but so we're here in this debugger, and we're running. Oh, we got here, but we never did get to the other one. Let me just put a debugger over there too. Debugger. I would love to be able to say, hey, yeah, you just type in debugger to cause the debugger to go up, but who knows? Who knows how your browser works? This is how you get better. So found trade is supposed to emit it, and it's not emitting. It's not working up here. Found in API, Edge and Chroma. Parent methods must exist in the right component. Okay, let's just make sure the parent component emitted it properly. Yes, it says a tab. I guess it's possible that it didn't emit it. So API, I think that's API component. Yep, there it is right there. And that's exactly what my component looks like. Event name mismatch. Okay, that's lowercase change found in tab. Let's just do that. Well, it would definitely break if it wasn't, but fine. I'm copying this so there's not a case mismatch. I don't think there is. Let's say we should hop up in the debugger again. Oh, wow, I didn't know you could do that. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna try that. That's nice. I don't know why our debugger didn't pop up. Okay, maybe it didn't. Okay, that's one. Okay, so let's try this. I like that. Definitely learned on this. Oh, it wouldn't let me do it. So the console, so let's save it and see if it actually throws the error, if that's just an IDE thing. So this code is causing a oh, I should have told it property console does not exist on type. Uh, yeah, so it's definitely not calling it. Yeah, so we're back to this. It's just saying do a console log. But I'm already trying to do that. So, it's not calling. It is API component, yeah. Okay, so let's just double check that. I'm pretty sure we're good. I don't know. At this point, I'm really confused. Add output, change file, event, emitter, boolean. Yeah, that looks good. And then the tab. Oh, tab. That's up here. Change found event, double quotes. All of that works. And then over here, change found in tab, value. I mean, the one thing it didn't have is this void. I don't think this would possibly be the cause. Okay, it didn't save it because it was like there was no change there. So let's just try it. Check the child is actually emitting. Okay, yeah, we did do that. We already have that basically. So it's basically saying do like a console log right down here to just, oh, we have a debugger. It's popping up. All right, maybe maybe I should just update something in a service. Yeah, I don't know why that's not working. I think it should work, but I don't know. I've given up on it. I know they both must use the same service, right? So they both use speech service. So I could probably add, right? Let's just make sure this guy uses speech service. No, it uses navigation service, but not speech service. So yeah, I could just move the speech service up here. So it could be like speech service. Am I misspelling speech? Did I call it? What's it called? API. Yeah, that's right. So I can just do this, right? I can just use this. This is crazy. I've literally never had that issue. I do not understand what the issue is. And then blue, and just make sure it's the right one. Yeah, it's the right one. And then I can just be like, I can go into my speech service, go to the implementation. Oh, okay, here we are. And I could put found API change equals false. And then I could say, thank goodness this does not have to go through. Well, I could probably come up with a clever way to make this look nice. And then I can go into my app and I can change this, just get rid of this altogether. Stupid. This is stupid. And I can say speech service. I know, Rhett. Found API change. And I think we're back to false. I'll type app component because I did not save again. Yet again, I did not hit the save button. All right. Now right here. So we're back to false. Now over here, up in here, I could say this dot speech service dot found API change equals true. There we go. Now let's just see. And one of the nice things about that is then we don't have to worry about the weird issue in the background because we're just working straight in the template over there. So anyway, so now we have API is true when it has found a change. And so then let's just imagine it did not find a change. Save. API is false. And then for some reason, and I don't really understand why, this thing, it's running all of these, even if sometimes it builds them all and just keeps them on the UI. You just can't see them, and sometimes it doesn't build them. And in this case, it is building out the tabs, so that constructor runs, so that data gets calculated. Probably the best way to do this would be to just have the speech service have this information and actually show this information down here from the speech service, but we do now know that. So basically tomorrow we'll add an icon there when it's true. Or maybe, like a little exclamation mark icon whenever it's true, whenever it finds something. Anyways, that went so much longer than it should have. I do not know why that emitter was not working. I've literally never, ever seen that happen. But this is probably closer to a good implementation than using the emitter. I just don't understand why that wasn't working. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.